So welcome to Techno Dad Life, and my name is Jeff, and so today what I'm going to be doing is switching my house over from using Hubitat to Homeassistant. So if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and if I remember, I'll leave links in the description to anything I mentioned in the video. Okay, so first I want to go over why I'm switching. So being a YouTuber and just liking to do, mainly I like doing random things and solving problems, I decide, so when I buy home automation stuff, that I never look if it's compatible, because part of the fun is actually trying to get things to work. And so then I have tried to conglomerate all these different things together. And so currently we are mainly a Apple house. My wife and I have iPhones. And so for spouse approval factor, we try to use the Home app to have all the automations go through so she knows what to do. So that being said, we also have Amazon speakers, and we also have a Hubitat that actually puts everything else together to go over things. So now with the Hubitat, they actually just got a new version of it. I have the C7 version, which I'll put a picture of up here. And so it's getting long in the tooth, so I decided rather than buying a new Hubitat, I will explore Homeassistant again. So now I've done Homeassistant, or tried to do Homeassistant in the past, and let's just say it's not user-friendly. But over the past few years, it's actually gotten a lot better. So I'm going to switch my entire house over to that. Now with Homeassistant, we have some choices of things we can do. We can buy hardware directly from Homeassistant, and so this is the Homeassistant Green, and you can see it's got a 1.8 quad-core ARM processor, which is pretty good, but it only has 4 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of hardware, and that is $99. Now, one of the benefits of this is you have Homeassistant built in, and it has most of the radios you need to start out with. But there are other choices. So next we have the Homeassistant Yellow. And so for that, you buy the board basically in the case, but you still have to buy a Raspberry Pi for it. So it's going to be over $200. I don't even know how expensive Raspberry Pis are now, but I knew I could do better. So if we go to the Homeassistant page here, we go Getting Started, Installation, and there we have again the green, and we could do it on a Raspberry Pi, and keep going down, and then we have Homeassistant install on x86. Now, one thing I have a lot of in the house here is x86 computers. And so when I was on my trip, if you were one of the few people who watched my trip one, I bought a mini PC to start practicing on Homeassistant while I was down there. And so basically this one is a B-Max B1 Pro Intel Gemini N4000, so it's not the most recent version, but it does not have to be for this. But it has also has 8 gigabytes of memory and 128 gigs of storage. So it's quite a bit more powerful than any of the other devices that we've looked at so far. The other benefit of using a mini PC is that you can get one where you can add a hard drive to it. So basically this one, it has a bottom part that comes off, and you can actually stick a hard drive in here, or you can just have it with the SSD on here. So if you have things that take up a lot of storage, so say like you want to run your security system through it, you can add a hard drive to just have video storage, or you can have a video storage for a media player. You know, the world is your oyster. With the other devices for the Hubitat or the Homeassistant made devices, there's no extra way to add storage easily. So a mini PC is actually, at least in my book, better for running Homeassistant on. So the one we got here is the B Max. Oh, and so this one in particular I bought because it was cheap. It's $99. Currently it's $99, and when I bought it, it was actually $10 off, so it was $89. So what do we get in the box here? So we get a mini PC, has a VGA port, HDMI there, has Ethernet ports, 2 USB 2 ports, 2 USB 3 ports, a SD card reader. If we open up the bottom here, we can add an extra M.2 drive here, besides the one that's already in there. Or actually it's not an M.2 drive. Well, this is an M.2 drive, but inside it's a, whatever it is, slower storage. So other things we have here are directions, a mount if you want to put it on your TV, HDMI cable, power cable, and Ethernet cable. And so obviously I've opened this up. Oh, you know what? It didn't come with an Ethernet cable. I bought this one when I was on vacation. And this comes pre-installed with Windows 10 Pro, I think. So I already erased it, so I don't remember what was on there. So most of the stuff we don't need. And actually I'm going to use a different Ethernet cable here. I guess we can use this. Okay, so we got it all together, and so next what we'll do is, so next, depending on your mini PC that you get, you're going to need maybe 1 or 2 more things. So this is a Zigbee stick, so this is Sonoff one. And so here you can see it's $33 and 10% off. And then the other thing you'll need is, depending on your device, this is a Bluetooth adapter. And so Homeassistant doesn't necessarily run with all Bluetooth adapters. And so I tried it on a couple mini PCs. So on this mini PC, the Bluetooth did not work with Homeassistant, but on this one it did. So we're going to be using this one. But I had already bought a Bluetooth adapter, which I'll show you where you can get it. They have these on Amazon. It was only $8, it looks like. I'll leave a link in the description to the Homeassistant page where they say where to look for what type of Bluetooth adapter. But what I would recommend is just buying your device first, seeing if it works, and then if it doesn't, buy this later. Otherwise you just have an extra Bluetooth adapter. Okay, so next we need to go to the Homeassistant installation page, so the generic x86 for us. And so basically the first thing that needs to be done is you need to change your BIOS settings. And so usually you do that by hitting F11, F10, escape, or delete on your keyboard. And then that will take you to the BIOS where you can set it, or it will take you to the boot menu. So I've already done that on this mini PC because I've already been experimenting a little bit. And so next there are 2 ways to install Homeassistant. So one is you download Ubuntu and then install Homeassistant over that. Or the second is with a Homeassistant image. And so what I'm going to do, I have a Ventoy drive. And so we'll put both of those on that. And so I think I have Ubuntu already, but let's check. Okay, so I didn't have Ubuntu desktop, so I downloaded that, and I actually downloaded the Homeassistant image too. So we're going to see if we can boot the Homeassistant image off of Ventoy. Otherwise, we'll just boot up Ubuntu and then install it that way. Okay, so I'm just going to drag and drop those. So let's see, there's Ubuntu desktop, put that in my Ventoy. And then Home Assistant, Has, there it is. Put that over there. Now we just have to wait for those to copy to the disk, and then we'll start back on this guy. Okay, so let's eject that Ventoy. And so now we will put it into our mini PC again. And then press F11 while we're starting up. Okay, and then Samsung Drive again, hit enter. And, oh, it didn't show up. So our Home Assistant didn't show up on the list here, probably because it's not an ISO. So we'll just go to desktop, start that. And then we'll just wait a minute for that to start up. Okay, so we open up this, we select our disk we want to go on. And then if we come over here to the directions of Home Assistant, we have to download the image, so let's do that. And then we're going to click the three dots and restore this image. And then we're going to find our file here. Let's go to downloads, there it is. And open. And start restoring. And yes, restore the SD card. So this will take a little while because this SD eMMC card is very slow, which doesn't matter for once the software is installed, but it does take a while. So we'll be back in a few minutes. So Home Assistant has restarted, and we can see that our address to actually access it is homeassistant.local.8123. So let's go there. But first I'm going to unplug this keyboard and the mouse. We don't need those anymore. Okay, so I typed in homeassistant.local.8123 and here we are. So we're going to create our smart home. And we need to create a user and a password. And then once we've done that, we'll click Create Account. And then we'll put in our address so we know where we are. And then here you get to put in whether you want your usage or not. We'll just click Next for right now. And these are all the devices it's found already. Click Next. And so on the basic dashboard, it just shows the weather to start out with. Over here under Notifications, if we click on that, it will say New Devices Discovered, and you can check it out. And so here we're going to start configuring things. And so some of these are more complicated than others, so we can configure the printer right away. The Apple TV, the Ecobee. So the Apple devices, I need to get codes to put in for those, so we have to do that off of the video. And then the Ecobee, you have to set up an account for that. And so I already have one set up, so I'll just do that. It's pretty easy, but we'll do that off camera. So the one I do want to start out with is the Zigbee device. So that way we can add all our Zigbee devices. And we'll create a new network. Okay, so we have our Zigbee device added. And if we look down here, our Bluetooth works. And so we can add Bluetooth devices. And we have other things going here, Thread. Some things I don't know why they put on here, shopping lists if you want to do that. For today, for right now, I need to stop just because we have to undo some of the... So what I'm going to do off camera is actually take the devices off of my Hubitat and then put them in the Zigbee devices into Homeassistant. I'll leave one to do at the end for that, but otherwise this will just take too long, so we'll do that. So how you add a Zigbee device is you press the side of it till the light starts flashing there. Nope. So you press the side of it again, and hopefully it starts flashing sometime in the future. There it goes. So once it flashes like that, then it's in pairing mode, and it's probably already paired already. Okay, so it's been a few hours, and you can see I have an extra lamp back here, and that's because I have been putting everything into Homeassistant that I can think of, and I've gotten a lot of things, but not quite everything. So let me show you here what we have going on so far. So now if we look at the overview, you can see I have a ton of devices in here now. We've got our thermostat. We've got all sorts of devices here in the living room. We have iPods, Apple TVs, and all sorts of things here. So if we go to settings and devices, you can see we've added a bunch of things here. So there's all our integrations and how we add those. Here you can see all the integrations I've added in, and how we add those if we don't have it is we click on add integration here, and then up in this box here, then we just type in whatever we want to add in. So here we got our Apple TV, Bluetooth, which I'm still working on, a DLNA server, our Ecobee, translates, some of these things are there. I added Matter because I have a Matter bulb. It's actually up there in the ceiling over there. You can't see it, it's off screen. It's above that black thing there. iBeacon is for trackers. I still haven't figured that one out. Homeassistant Supervisor, mobile app. And so when I was adding things to Homeassistant, I found the mobile app easiest because I was just walking around the house and adding things. Thread, that's again works with Apple devices. TP-Link, which was actually it's hard for some reason. So basically you have that light back there has a TP-Link bulb in it. And so you have to add it into the TP-Link app first, which I didn't know because on the Hubitat you could they had a integration, you just clicked on the integration, showed up to you, and so the bulbs, those 4 bulbs going around the outside of the floor there, those are 2U ones, so we added it into there. And then you can see most of our devices we have 15 devices that are Zigbee. I really like Zigbee because it's super easy to add to anything. You don't have to sign up for any accounts. It's on its own separate network, so definitely get more Zigbee devices if you haven't got them already. What we're going to be doing next is I'm going to be working on the Bluetooth. So those lights right there, they have a Bluetooth controller, as does the other one over there, and I have 2 more over here. And so basically those are homemade lights that my dad made. He 3D printed the frames there on that, and that on that over there. And then it's just rolled up lights in there, and then there is a Bluetooth adapter. I also have 2 RF adapters. So this one is a Sonoff RF bridge, and then over here we have a Broadlink bridge. So after I get the Bluetooth figured out, then we're going to add these to control things if I need to. And so I will be back after I figure out the Bluetooth. Okay, future Jeff here. So basically when I started to work on the Bluetooth, it took me down a road that basically I would have to do another video about. So we're not going to cover that today. We're going to skip all over that, and we're going to go integrating things into the Apple ecosystem for spouse approval factor. So we're in settings and integrations, add integration. We're going to type in HomeKit. And click on Apple, click Bridge, I'm pretty sure. And then submit, and submit. And the bridge is in the living room. Finish. And it looks like we need to scan this code, which I think is just anybody can use this code, so I'm not going to worry about it. So it says it's connecting to the bridge. You can see it there. Okay, so now I just need to add everything into HomeKit. So you don't want to watch that, but basically just approve everything. Okay, so we're back and I have everything installed in HomeKit and some weird things. So basically it didn't tell me what room things were in. So I sort of had to guess, but if you do this, make sure you have distinct names for things beforehand. And a couple things I have to figure out still is, so like on this, you can see it has these numbers with things. I have no idea what they are. They're supposed to be switches, but I haven't figured those out yet. The other thing is, so my Ecobee was already added into HomeKit, so I have to take that out. But right now, I have two Ecobees. That's my thermostat, and look at what it shows for temperature-wise. So even though theoretically they're coming from the same thermostat, we have 1 degree difference between the two different tiles on here that actually show the temperature. So overall, was this a worthwhile project for me? And so if you go back through the video, so how you can tell it took many days to do this is you'll see my t-shirt color changing. And so it took a number of days to do this, many hours to do this. Okay, so was it worth it? So yes and no. So things that are better are that Homeassistant with the mini PC is noticeably faster than the Hubitat. So it's good to get a little overpowered system because you have room for expansion in the future. My wife loves that it's faster now. It seems more stable. The Hubitat seemed to be more susceptible for when Apple had updates that it would break things. So far that hasn't happened, but obviously it's only been a week or two since we've had this up. Minuses, it has weird things in HomeKit that I haven't figured out yet, which will take longer. Some things just take a lot of effort to get working, like the Bluetooth. If you know any easy way to get Bluetooth devices working, leave a comment down in the description. I do have other things to add in, so the RF devices, so I can control other things. But overall, I would say it is a big pain in the butt, but I think it's going to be worth it in the long run. So that's it for today. Hope you found this helpful. Make sure you like and subscribe and tell me if you have Homeassistant installed below. Take care. Bye-bye.